That brings us to Program Management Services 2019 bond.
We really appreciate the opportunity, trustees. It feels like a really big moment. As you know, trustees, we have been looking to enhance our team to begin the process of phase one of our $1.4 billion capital bond that really is about re-envisioning the setting for public schools in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. And we are forever and deeply grateful to our community for supporting this effort. And I'm so grateful also to this board for leading the effort and to our team for developing the campaign that convinced our community that this is the right time to renew our facilities for teaching and learning for the future, for environmental sustainability, for safety and health, and to renew our infrastructure in terms of systems and services. So this is one of those pivotal moments early in the process where Mr. Demetrio, Mr. Laudzana have worked to select a program management company that would enhance alongside our team to ensure that we keep the promises we made during our bond campaign. Our goal is to deliver every project to serve children at the absolutely highest level, to deliver every project on time and at or under budget. So that's our vision. And, you know, one of our major vision points in the district is that idea of equity and opportunity for every child. And so I'm so proud today for Mr. Lautzana and Mr. Demetrio to bring forward our candidate for the program management relationship. And so with that, Mr. Demetrio, are you starting this or we're going directly to Mr. Lautzana? What is your preference?
Mr. Lautzana, it's perfectly suited for.
Very good. So Mr. Lautzana, and I'll have you introduce our guests who are joining us. And I know you're going to lay this out as you did for Finance Committee last week. And so that all of our trustees have the great opportunity of understanding where we are in the selection process. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think I'll briefly introduce our guests, and then I'll kind of overview the memorandum and the proposed agreement. And then our friends from Gilbane have a brief presentation where they'll overview their company and their qualifications and the great work that they've already been doing in the state of Michigan and Southeast Michigan. So Dr. Swift is exactly right. Given the scale of this bond program and quite frankly the limited staff resources that the district has to manage all of this, supplemental professional services are required in order for us to ensure that we meet and exceed the expectations of our community. So we issued a request for qualifications for program management services. For the first 6 years of the bond program, we received 3 proposals, including Gilbane Building Company of Detroit, Michigan. We conducted interviews, reference checks with all 3 proposing teams and selected Gilbane based on their extensive K12 construction management experience, including 9 NetZero or NetZero ready schools, and having completed successful recent projects for the University of Michigan, the City of Detroit, and Wayne State University. There's a long list of the services that they would provide under this contract, and you can read that at your leisure, but it's essentially oversight of architectural engineering services in the design phase, budgeting, scheduling, and oversight of construction management professionals, and then helping the district ensure our warranty and guarantee claims are valid, and that at 11 months post-occupancy after major renovations and new construction, a component and systems evaluation report to AAPS so that we can take corrective action on any deficiencies found after a period of occupancy. The proposed cost for these services is estimated at 3% of the construction cost, or approximately $1.5 million annually. Actual costs will be based on actual labor hours worked. Essentially, the Gilbane company would be providing personnel on a full or a part-time or an as-needed basis in support of the project and would bill the district accordingly. Some of those services, again, include accounting, the design phase management, as well as construction management and post-occupancy services. So we have a number of people on our Zoom here. Jim is Vice President at Gilbane Building Company. Lynn is a Regional Area Manager. Stephanie Corona is the proposed Project Director for Gilbane, who would be boots on the ground at the district starting day one. And Kevin Stansbury, who many of you know, who has served as an architect in the district for many years, would be our design phase manager under this program. And with that, I think I'll turn it over to the Gilbane folks. Amy or whoever's running the PowerPoint can probably pull that up. And Gilbane folks, when you are looking for a slide change, just feel free to just kind of ask for the slide change. So with that, I'll hand it over to Jim, Vice President at Gilbane.
Emil, thank you so much. Appreciate everyone giving us a few minutes. We will keep this brief. We know you've had a long meeting and still have a longer night ahead of you. We wanted to, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to be your partner. That consideration we don't take lightly. We wanted to introduce ourselves, tell you just a little bit about us so you had some familiarity with who you would be working with, hopefully, for the next few years. Next slide, please. The four of us are kind of your core staff. We wanted to introduce ourselves. I'll start. My name is Jim Ahrens. I've been with Gilbane about 20 years. I've spent a number of my experience over the years working on assignments like this. I'm very thrilled to be part of this program. And Arbor as a community and your public school system is second to none, and we're honored to be considered. I've had the pleasure of working on about $500 million in Ann Arbor over the last 20 years that we'll get into, primarily at the University of Michigan, but on a similar assignment throughout the state of Michigan with projects focused in Ann Arbor and Detroit for the AT&T Master Service Alliance. Lynn?
A project site, and it's not as quiet here as I would have liked, but I'm Lynn Rogan. I'm the area manager overseeing operations in Michigan. Extremely excited with the team that we're going to provide to you to be an extension of your staff, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. Stephanie?
Stephanie Corona, over 36 years of experience, extensive experience in K12 and representing districts and owners in major construction projects. I'm located locally here and look forward to working on these projects.
I'm Kevin Stansbury. I've been an architect for the district since 1988 up until very recently, and I'm really excited to be part of the Gilbane team and to do project management.
All right, well, thank you guys. Good start. A little bit about Gilbane, and then we'll get into maybe hopefully why you picked us. We are a 150-year-old family-owned company, started in Providence, Rhode Island. We've been in the Midwest for the last half century. About 500 staff between our offices in Detroit, Chicago, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Columbus, and Pittsburgh. So we're in the Rust Belt Great Lakes area. We have been in the last 10 years, 9 times, we've been the national K12, the largest builder of work in program and construction management. And I can tell you, being with the company for 20 years, we've been 23 or 24 out of the last 25. This is a major market for us. We bring lessons learned and best practices. There's no learning curve for this team. We're going to step right in and hopefully add value from day one. There's approximately 3,000 folks that work for Gilbane. We do about $6 billion a year. So we're not the biggest and we're not trying to be the biggest, but we're a top 10 firm as far as volume. And we're going to leverage all that experience around the country and bring that to bear here in Ann Arbor. We measure everything, and we ask our clients again and again, name one word that describes Gilbane as you've worked with us. If you had to use one word, what would that be? And you can see our core values down there at the bottom. And I'm proud to say that integrity is the word 7 out of 10 times. And that means a lot to us. We bring that to you. Everything's transparent. We work in a team. We're very loyal to our clients. We care, and want you to know that you're gonna see that value from day one. It's still family owned, like I mentioned before. The Gilbane family, the 4th, 5th, and 6th generation for the last 47 years have been intimately involved. I've had the chance to work with all 3 of those generations, mentored by Bill Gilbane, and now I'm working with his son Ted, who's in our local office to make sure that he's ready to hopefully run the company someday. Moving down to the next slide, we usually start every Gilbane meeting that we participate in with a caring moment, because when we interact with the construction field, whether it's in the design, the planning, the execution during construction or closeout, it is a very dangerous business. We're working around curious students. We're working around interested parties, whether it's faculty or just the general public. And we want to make sure that we protect not only the people that know and are working on the job site, but we protect all those visitors that could be impacted. And so the caring moment we'd like to share with you is during the first part of the COVID response, we put our hat in the ring, if you will, to volunteer to be a glutton for punishment, if you would say, for the local COVID-19 hospitals that were going to be built around the nation. We were selected for the Novi job, and we were tasked to take the Novi Suburban Collection Showplace venue, and we had 15 days to create, basically in a design build scenario, 1,100 beds, and turn that over in April over the Easter holiday. And it was 24/7 operation. We were glad to be part of it, and we were really glad it was in the Eastern Michigan area where we could talk to you about it and let you know that we felt great about being part of that solution for the Michigan community. Moving down a little bit, employees are really our most important asset, and to talk about the culture of our firm, we wanted to explain that. We are engaged with diversity and inclusion initiatives. We decided to take a leadership role with that many years ago. You can't just be on the sidelines. You really have to be building capacity for small and disadvantaged businesses. We've entered into mentor protege programs with these businesses so we can build depth and capacity, and it's not just a participation role for them. We want them to be able to be a Gilbane someday, and that's the idea. Our commitment to the local community is unmatched. We ask our employees to get engaged in something that brings value to them personally, and then we'll support that as a firm. You can see at the bottom left-hand corner where it says Detroit NSO. That meant something to our Detroit office. We had a lot of connections to that organization. So most of those lunches made it over to Detroit NSO. I'm sure a few of them maybe were eaten before they got there, but we had a good time doing that. We're really happy to participate. Our employees are our most valuable asset. We do career conversations with our employees to make sure we maintain our history of being one of the largest firms with the lowest turnover. We pride ourselves on developing our employees to their greatest potential. So in a career conversation, you would skip over the person you report to and really meet with their superior, the person they report to, and talk about, hey, when I grow up someday, what do I want to be? What's my fullest potential and what can I do? And the idea is that the leadership at Gilbane will help you get there. We'll tell you very directly what your positives and what your constructive criticisms are, what you need to work on, and what you have going for yourself that you should really leverage. And so I really feel that that's a testament to the investment in employees. We have happy employees. We have great benefits, and I think that's why we have such low turnover, and I'm proud of that. And I'm proud to be part of that. I joined Gilbane, and I thought, boy, this is a place I could work at till I retire, and it looks like that's going to happen someday. So I'm pretty excited about that. Let's get into some of our local jobs that you might be familiar with.
Thank you, Jim. So we've listed, or at least shown you some of the local projects, in Michigan, near Ann Arbor that you're probably familiar with. Some are past, some are very recent past, and some are actually in planning. I'm proud to say that one of the assets that we bring to you is a pretty diverse staff with diverse experience, in that we've not only delivered programs under program management, but we also are an active builder. And when I say a builder, it's anything from development, which you see Western Michigan University, Hilltop Village is in planning right now, to design build, which was the Wayne State Anthony Wayne Drive housing project, to Coleman A. Young, which we're still working on. They're doing pre-construction services. So we work in all capacities, sometime as a hard bid contractor, construction manager. Design build requires pretty stringent design management. So I always talk about designing to budget, which is extremely important in the pre-construction phase to make sure that when we're bidding your work out, we're going to get at budget. So we have a very savvy staff of what I call risk managers, so that we understand how to manage your whole program for not only safety, but financial risks. So we like to say that we have really strong local experience. We're all backed by regional support. The regional support is the Central Midwest Division that Jim kind of showed you on the first map. And we can tap into national resources. So the resources that we use in order for lessons learned to help advance your project and give you the value that you guys deserve is the national resources on a national K12 level. So next slide, please, Emil, is Gilbane is very active nationally in sustainability. It's one of the things we do. It's just standard practice. So we have an internal sustainability council. Underneath that, we have a NetZero committee. I'm actually the executive chair of that committee, and our chair is actually in the Chicago business unit. But we basically are, I guess I'd call it leading the nation as what are the lessons learned on NetZero projects? What have we done, well? What have we not done well? And when I say that, it's not only from construction, but also in design and planning. NetZero has different meetings and different applications, and your program will really look at all different types of net zero, be it water or energy, or applications, variations of that. So we're very excited to be able to bring you the experience that we have and collaborate with not only Ann Arbor schools and your constituents, but also the consultants that will be involved in here to figure out what the best fit is for your program. Stephanie, you want to handle relevant experience for K12?
Sure. So as Jim had said earlier, we are #1 K-12 builder in the country. And I think it's important to understand that it's not just super big projects that are over $1 billion, bond or referendums, but it's also smaller projects. Our projects go anywhere between, it could be 5,000, or it could be a single project that is $100 million. High school. Yes, there's a $100 million high school out there. But we are familiar with program management and overseeing bond issues. 1.6 in New Haven, Connecticut, Cleveland was 1.5 billion, and the Rochester Joint School District in New York was 1.3 billion. Those had 45 buildings, 81 buildings, and 50 buildings, respectively. So in addition to doing several bond issues and referendums that are, in the $150,000 to $500,000 range. So this is not foreign to us. This is a very comfortable market for us. And we really do believe that we can bring the lessons learned from all of these districts, and especially with sustainability to the district here. Next slide. And that leads to our some of the value that we do bring, which is our K-12 Center of Excellence. We bring our best practices, the market trends that are out there that we're seeing throughout other districts, what we're hearing from the experts in the industry. We do a lot of collaborative innovation, and those are great things that we can bring from other districts and present those as potential opportunities. The other, our facility management services, our transition planning and management services that we also provide, which, by the way, help with how do you relocate a whole entire school to a temporary location for a year and then move them back into their new location or their newly remodeled location. We actually handle that all the time, and we have people that specialize in that. The one environmental, obviously we've talked about, but the one thing I'm actually proud about is our student inclusion program. And it's not a, hey guys, here's how construction works. It really is, we bring everything from 3D visualization, where they put the 3D goggles on. They can actually walk through their school or the new school that we're looking at doing. We talk about how what they're learning now can be applied in the future. And I think it's a great program that we have, and I'd love to see something rolled out with Ann Arbor. Next slide, please. And finally, I'd like to talk about is our customer satisfaction. And Jim touched on it a little bit at the beginning, but I think it really is important. The only way we find that we can improve on making sure we meet customer satisfaction is to ask our customers. And we consistently ask in the middle and at the end or at periodic times, and we get their feedback to make sure, are we meeting the expectations? What can we do different? How can we exceed it even more? And so I think that's important to know that just in 2020, we had 356 owner evaluations, and majority of them were 5 stars. And so we're clearly meeting and exceeding the expectations of our clients. So, and we're going to bring that same passion and that same persistence to this new bond program.
Many of the answers for why Gilbane have been addressed by Jim, Lynn, and Stephanie, from Gilbane's standing in the industry to local project experience, and including our strengths with sustainability and net zero projects. Our culture is an excellent fit with the Ann Arbor Public Schools too. We're serious, we're open, friendly, hardworking, and focused on the success of the students. Gilbane has significant K-12 program management experience, and we bring vast experience with K-12 construction projects as well. We speak fluently about the direction of national education delivery while tailoring our focus to those areas of greatest interest to the district. Uniquely, we can offer no loss of momentum from current planning efforts to program management implementation. Our team brings decades of hands-on experience with Ann Arbor Public Schools buildings, personnel, and culture, and we are ready to get to work.
So we just want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to meet you all. We're honored to be here. We're very excited to help you deliver your promise. And with that, any questions you may have, we'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. I'm going to step in for just a minute, and there we go. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. We appreciate you joining us today. Vice President Kelly and trustees, you know our goal. It was your vision that got us this far with our bond. And you know that it is my and our #1 priority to continue to earn the trust and the credibility with our community in response to this significant bond and capital development endeavor that will extend over the next 15 years. We want to earn the trust of our community every day. We want to bring the highest quality, deliver our projects on time, at or under budget. I want to be clear, trustees, we are bringing forward a recommendation. and that is subject to board approval. So we just appreciate you, trustees, joining with us this evening. It was at Finance Committee's recommendation that we invited the Gilbane team to join us so that you all could meet them directly, and I'm so grateful that you were able to take time to be with us. I don't want to miss, though, the rationale, Mr. Lautsana, that you and Mr. Demetrio have been working on, because I think it is important for the trustees to be reminded of what it is we were seeking, how it is that Gilbane meets those, and your rationale for bringing this recommendation forward for the board's consideration. So Gilbane team, if you don't mind, just hold tight, and we're going to do some of the sausage making that the trustees are obligated to do and we all want to do. But they felt, and we believe, it's better to talk about the rationale after they've met you and seen you. So thank you for being a part of our gathering this evening. Okay, Mr. Lautsana, how did you get to this recommendation?
Yeah, so Marios and I both early on, once the dust settled on the referendum and we got through the holidays, we set about reaching out to a lot of our contacts in other school districts that have run similar scale bond programs, and in speaking with them in Charlotte, South Carolina, Los Angeles, Seattle, other public school districts that are many more years into large capital programs like this, it became evident that for our school district, program management services was critical to our success. Currently we manage sinking fund projects at the district, and I have myself and one other staff member overseeing those projects, and a couple other people might help with a couple of other projects. But this is a significant step up beyond what the sinking fund projects were. The sinking fund was really, if you will, kind of keep things going. We'll do a boiler over here, a roof over here, a parking lot over here. Maybe we can dig into Bryant Patton Gill a little bit and, do a little more work there. But we're talking about essentially a $50 million a year capital program that runs for 15 to 20 years. And our current general fund staff is very limited. And the strategy that we see other school districts using is to supplement or augment the district staff with professional services from a group like program management, or some people might call it owner's representative services. This provides for all the additional resources that we need in order to manage this program. I would love to just hire the people on the screen directly as AAPS employees, but if we were to do that, that would be a general fund expenditure, and we all know what that means. So the method that we see nationally, and I don't know if Marios wants to add to that, but it was pretty clear to us in our conversations with folks that this type of a model would bring us the best value and the best sort of risk management approach.
So we did a request for qualifications, I believe.
Yes.
So we had 3 firms that we interviewed, and there was a committee of 4, if I'm not mistaken,
yes.
Which Emil and I were included. We interviewed those 3 firms. We obviously evaluated each firm. We selected Gilbane to come back for a second interview. We did a second interview with them. We did quite a bit of due diligence to make sure we're getting what we wanted to get. And we're very happy to bring this recommendation before you today.
Yeah. And I would add one of the strengths with the Gilbane proposal as opposed to the other 2. This is an all-inclusive organization that has all of the capacities that we need under one roof. The other proposals had multiple different organizations serving different functions. So there was, one group was construction management, one group was architecture and engineering, another group would be finance, and another group would provide overall program management. So you would have, in the case of one group, there were 2 firms, and then another one, there were 4 firms. One of the groups had never actually worked on a program before together, though individually they had impressive qualifications. They had never work together on a program, and that was a concern for us. And, we want, and Jim and Lynn and Kevin and Stephanie know this, they're a one-stop shop and they're a one-stop place for accountability as well. So there's a comfort level for us that, we're not going to hear from the accounting group that that's the responsibility of the construction group, or that that's the construction or the architecture and engineering group. This is a one-stop responsibility, and I have high confidence in their ability to deliver.
Okay. I know this item was reviewed by Finance Committee last Wednesday evening, and I appreciate the time that Finance took to work through a lengthy set of questions, and the members of Finance Committee overcame a very significant storm that occurred in the middle of our meeting. So I just want to say that we did ask quite a lot of questions then, and we're ready, Vice President Kelly, for any other questions now this evening. Thank you so much, Gilbane Team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Safe. Bye-bye.
Have a good eve.
You too.
Have a good evening.